Hello, everybody, and welcome to the side panel. Rawr! I'm your host, AJ, and this week, or this episode maybe, or maybe it is this week. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. This episode, that's what we're going to go with, and that's the story I'm sticking to. We are going to be reviewing two movies, Halloween Kills and The Last Duel. So, without further ado, let's get going, shall we? The first of the two movies that I got to see was The Last Duel. The Last Duel is a historical drama directed and produced by Ridley Scott, based on a 2004 book by the same name by Eric Yeager. It is starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Adam Driver, as well as Jodie Comer. Now, the premise is fairly simple. Adam Driver and Matt Damon are two squires in France, living in 1386, and Matt Damon is married to Jodie Comer. Jodie. We're gonna go with Jodie. Matt Damon is married to Jodie, and while Matt Damon is off doing some of his crusades and fighting and whatnot, Adam Driver shows up and rapes Jodie, Matt Damon's wife. Ben Affleck is the Count Pierre that resides over both of them, who they both serve directly. And so it is his job to try and figure out... Actually, no, he has no job in this movie other than to be Ben Affleck. So, there you go. So basically the movie is trying to figure out if indeed Jodie is telling the truth or not. And because of the charges filed against him, Adam Driver and Matt Damon decide to have a duel to the death to allow God to decide who indeed was right or wrong. Should Matt Damon win, then God favors him. Should Adam Driver win, then God favors him, which proves that Matt Damon's wife was lying, or vice versa. So that's what this film is about. Now, what's great about this film is that it takes the viewpoint. I know I said great, right? When you think, here's the problem. A lot of us were talking about this before I saw the movie. You see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are in a movie, and you think to yourself, well, and you kind of aren't too hopeful of it. But then you watch the trailer, and you're like, okay, it's a period piece, and I'm always down for a period piece. But then you see it, and it's just like great acting, great drama, and like very violent sword fighting. So you're like, man, is this movie going to be good? I kind of want to see it. Which is what drove me to go see it overall. And yeah, it's great. It's a great movie. But what's really great about this movie is that it takes the viewpoint from three different points of view. Sorry for being so repetitive. It initially starts off with Matt Damon's point of view, and how life. You find out that Matt Damon and Adam Driver were best friends at one point, and somehow, as life went on, they fell apart, and then this so-called incident happened. So you see it from Matt Damon's point of view, and then it shows it through Adam Driver's point of view, and then once again it shows what really happened through Jodie Comer's point of view. Because at the end of the day, this he said, she said, all that stuff, it all boils down to whether or not she was a victim, or she portrayed herself as a victim, or she saw herself as a victim. And that's what this movie investigates and shows you. Three different points of view about three different characters, and how this one incident became a powder keg, or allowed to come to a head their feelings for each other. Not that there was a three-way or a love triangle or any of that romantic spoof, but it was just a lot of he said, she said, and points of views that got thrown askew during their lifetimes, and it's portrayed in this film. Now, I fairly enjoyed it. I could have done without Ben Affleck saying, "I'll take your fucking pants off" to Adam Driver, but I don't think that's giving away anything. But the movie was really good. If there was a problem, I'd say it's just that Um, yeah, I don't really see much of a problem. There's a lot of overlap, but they want to see that. You want to see that because sometimes your point of view gets twisted, and they wanted to show that they did indeed share some points of view the same, but at times, based on their opinion and how they told the story, that the instances that happened came different or portrayed that person as different. And so in that aspect, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, but I did. It was just over 2.5 hours long, I believe. And it's a Ridley Scott movie, so, you kind of want to go see it. I'd advise you to go see it. Very, very well driven, very well acted. The violence and the fighting in it are really top notch. If anything, you know what? I figured it out. If anything, their acting seemed to be a little wooden, but it felt like that they had to speak in how we portrayed language to be portrayed, or the vernacular of that time period to be said. And so it felt a little wooden at times. But other than that, I thought everything was great about the film. So please go see it. The Last Duel. Next up, Halloween Kills. Yeah, everybody's so excited about this movie because Forbidden Panel is a horror comic book company, and we love horror movies and horror comic books and just anything related to the horror genre. So we were excited to see Halloween Kills, especially after how much we all enjoyed the initial reboot of Halloween. This film is a sequel to that 2018's Halloween, and so, which in turn was actually anyway, it was a sequel to the original Halloween. So the naming confusion there was kind of weird, but anyway, after seeing that reboot come in, them kind of taking the Terminator style of direction where they ignore all the other sequels from Halloween, and this was supposed to be the legit sequel. We come into Halloween Kills expecting some of the great feelings and happiness and excitement that we got from the first movie. Boy, were we wrong. Now, you're going to hear two different points of view of this film, obviously, because there are going to be some of those that loved it and some of those that just couldn't stand for it, okay? And what we discovered while in the movie, or after the movie, was that the people that loved it were more of the younger crowd. So for them, maybe they didn't have much of a horror background, or maybe they did, but it wasn't as evolved as, say, ours is. And I don't mean that to sound snotty. I just mean that from the time that we were kids, we being, children of the 70s, horror movies were like just coming into their own, in my opinion. And so we got to grow with all these great franchises that started because of it. Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, all those films and their series that came out. We grew up with that. We grew up with like all 50 sequels to Freddy that culminated in Freddy versus Jason. We got to see all these different films. That's what made our love of Cabin in the Woods so great, because it touched bases on all those films that we grew up with, spending like 4 decades, spending all that time enjoying and becoming a part of our lifestyle. So, and I'm not trying to play like the old man role. You kids, get off my lawn. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't have to walk 10 miles in the snow just to get to a movie theater to watch Hellraiser 3. I'm not trying to play that role. All I'm saying is that there is obviously a different sort of appreciation in those two different styles. The Halloween Kills that we got here was more vocal, more. I don't know. The it was bloody and visceral killings and dismemberment and maiming, and his body count was way high, and that was great. But at no point in time did any of us feel afraid. We weren't scared. We weren't like on the edge of our seats, like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You know, it wasn't like that at all. It was more just preachy, speechy, talky, more, it was just way not a Halloween movie. What they did was they took the initial sequel of Halloween, okay? Part 2, Halloween 2, picked up immediately after Halloween 1, and it just went with it, where you still had the fear. Will Jamie Lee Curtis survive? Who is going to die while Michael Myers is chasing after her? She's hiding out. There's more anticipation. There's more fear. There's more knuckle biting, worry, and concern coming over that. This one doesn't do that at all. This one, it doesn't even literally take place after the reboot of Halloween. It starts off with flashbacks and side stories, and after about 15 minutes, it eventually gets back to where you're seeing Laurie and her family drive away from the burning home, which we saw at the end of the last movie. So it took its time getting there because it wanted to establish these new characters that they were going to introduce in this movie, characters who were there and created in the original versions of the movie, but are now being brought back to kind of let them have their say-so in what happens with Michael Myers in the Halloween universe. Initially, I thought that would be a great idea. However, I was wrong. The movie, like I said, it's just boring, and there's a lot of talking. There's a lot of just nonsense. It's unnecessary. A lot of this movie was unnecessary, and they took what made Halloween and took it away. And unfortunately, a lot of the kids we saw on the way out, you know, we got stopped and asked to take pictures of these groups, and they're all young kids, and they're all like, "Oh my God, wasn't the movie great? It was so bloody and awesome." And we're just like, "No, but okay." It felt like it was more delivering to the now generation of with the blood and the nasty and the stabbing and the killing and all that stuff, and took away from the anticipation and the stress and everything else that's coming up and worried about who's going to live and who's going to die. We didn't care. We were just like, you know. And unfortunately, that's the different type of moviegoer you're going to get today. Those that want the instant gratification and the kill, and those of us that are just waiting for the build up, you know, and like on the edge of our seat, being feared what's coming around the next corner, maybe even the occasional jump scare. You know, we like the story more than we like the visual, or if we can possibly have that nice combination of both, i.e. Cabin in the Woods. Okay, go see Cabin in the Woods if you want a perfectly laid out horror movie, because in my opinion, that was it. This is not. See for yourself. Go down to the movie theater, check it out, see for yourself. Maybe I'm you know, a little oversensitive about it, or maybe I was just having a bad day, or maybe I just came from a good movie into this movie and somehow wanted that to keep carrying on and was disappointed. It could be all my bad, but I went there with another person who's just all into Halloween, just like I am, all into the horror movies, just like I am, does the makeup and everything for our company, for the zombie beauty pageant, all that stuff. And he looked at me halfway through the movie, and he was like, "Man, I'm kind of bored." And that just feeling continued throughout the movie. So, you know, check it out for yourself. Maybe we're too deep into this. Maybe we've been on the other side too many times, but go check it out for yourself. Hit me up. Let me know what you think about it. I know it's streaming on Peacock right now, so if you don't want to go to the theaters, you want to see it on Peacock, watch it there. And hit me up. Shoot me an email, forbiddenpanel@gmail.com. Call into the show, leave a message, let me know your opinion, whatever. I'll voice it here on the show and give my opinion of it, or, you know, respond back to you with it. So, either way, let's just start that dialogue open. I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and be safe out there, okay? So next episode, I will be reviewing Frank Herbert's Dune. I'm so excited.